I stepped out that night after my wife humiliated me in front of her guests. It wasn't just what she said, it was how she said it. That smug tone in her voice, the gleam in her eye like I was the punchline of some inside joke. The week had already drained me. Work had taken everything I had, and all I wanted was a peaceful night at home. But instead, the living room was filled with her old college friends. 3 women who didn't mean any harm, but had a way of turning every conversation into a subtle contest. Who had the flashiest job? The best-dressed husband? The biggest home? And then there was their favorite topic. Who had the most obedient man, as they liked to laugh about? I played along, poured their wine, nodded when appropriate, and stayed mostly quiet while they chatted about beauty tips and getaways. But slowly, the jokes crept in. One of them complained about how useless her husband was around the house. And that's when my wife joined in. With a smirk, she looked right at me and said, "Well, at least yours tries. Mine changes one light bulb and acts like he deserves a Nobel Prize." They laughed. I gave a polite chuckle. Then she added, "Honestly, sometimes it's like I have 2 children, one I gave birth to and one I'm married." That line brought the house down. The table erupted. My wife even high-fived her friend, grinning like she had just delivered a showstopper. But I wasn't laughing. I stared at her, waiting for a glance. Some sign she realized the sting behind her joke. There was nothing. Something in me went quiet. I smiled tightly, stood up without a word, grabbed my jacket off the chair and said, "I'm going for a walk." She blinked, surprised. "Come on, babe. It was just a joke," she said. But I was already near the door. Outside, the chill caught me off guard. The wind cut through my coat, sharp and biting. I zipped it higher and just started walking. No map in mind, no destination, just movement, away from the echo of laughter I wasn't part of, away from a home that suddenly didn't feel like mine. I passed shuttered storefronts, quiet sidewalks under flickering streetlights, and strangers who didn't look twice. My phone vibrated in my pocket. I ignored it. 5 minutes later, it buzzed again. Then again. On the 4th call, I answered. Her voice had changed. Softer now. No more teasing. "Where are you?" she asked. I didn't respond. "Look, I didn't mean it like that," she said. "They were just jokes. I was just trying to keep the conversation light." "You did," I replied, my voice flat. "You kept it going. You just left me out of it." Silence. Then she asked, "Can you come home? Please." I didn't say yes. I didn't say no. I just said I need time and ended the call. Eventually, I found a quiet bench beneath an old tree and sat down. Cars passed by occasionally. My fingers were freezing, but I barely noticed. Something inside me had shifted. Not in anger. Something sharper than that. Something clear. It wasn't just about the joke. It was how casually she made it. How easy it was for her to tear me down for laughs. How little she thought of me when she assumed I wouldn't mind. That truth, it cut deeper than any insult. When I finally returned, it was late. The house was still. Her friends had left. She was curled up on the couch, a blanket over her knees, her eyes red. She stood up as I walked in. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "Truly." "I know," I said, "but there's something you need to understand." She nodded slowly. "I don't want to be your joke when there are people around. I don't want to be the man you care about in private, but mock in public. That's not love. That's performance. And I'm not your act." Tears returned to her eyes. I sat down not beside her, but across from her. We talked. No shouting. No dramatics. Just raw truth. Some things we hadn't said in years. Some we'd never dared say before. That night didn't end with forgiveness. It ended with truth. And truth, as hard as it is to face, is the first real step toward healing.